You know what always strikes me as strange? When you really stop and think about it? People spend huge amounts of money on very expensive professionals, advisors, PR teams, all of that, right? And yet, you'd think they'd actually listen to them, considering they're being paid because they're meant to be experts in their field. I've seen this for years. When you work in this business long enough, you're constantly surrounded by PR people. I remember interviewing a very famous singer at the White House, no less. And here's the thing. She turned up for the interview and completely lost it because, for some bizarre reason, she believed it was only a print interview and not being filmed. She didn't take it out on me. She unleashed it on her PA, the shouting, the language, the abuse. It was all pretty grim. Then suddenly she turned to me, and this is show business for you, and casually said, "I'll just put some makeup on. I won't be long." As if I hadn't just witnessed this entirely different venomous side of her personality. Right? Laughter. And that's the issue. If you work in this industry, you quickly learn that many of these people are pure Jekyll and Hyde. And somehow, you're expected to live with it. If you were working with Meghan Markle, it's no secret that behind the scenes she's developed a fairly ferocious reputation. Some would say bordering on bullying, right? And of course, I have to add allegedly. She denies all of it, but the claims are on record. Publications like The Hollywood Reporter haven't exactly been shy about laying it all out and saying, this is what went on. People simply didn't want to work with her anymore, and so on. You get the idea. What's also interesting, looking ahead, is that despite advice from people who genuinely had her best interests at heart, Markle just wouldn't hear it. She doesn't take it on board. It's her way or nothing. End of. And according to a very solid source, that attitude is a big part of why there was such a mass walkout of staff. Apparently, the warning was simple. Whatever you do, don't cross Kris Jenner. As ever. Let me explain. It's getting a bit gloomy now, isn't it? I know. That's winter for you. At least we've made it into February, right? Chin up. There's light at the end of the tunnel. We're in February now. It's really not that bad, is it? But I was thinking about this the other day. Tell me if you agree. When you get a bit older and you start to really dislike this kind of weather, what do they call it? Seasonal affective disorder or something like that. Sad. I think it's awful, really, because we end up wishing chunks of our lives away. And when you stop and think about it, from around October onwards, we're basically saying we want to fast forward through half the year. But those months, that time, that's our life, isn't it? Our time. We should try to make the most of whatever we've got, wherever we are. I read something the other day that said, if you want to stay healthy and all that, you're supposed to get outside in daylight for at least an hour a day, including a 20-minute walk. And I remember thinking, how on earth does anyone manage to fit all of that in? Are you good at sticking to those rules? Are you? Yeah. And then there was something else I heard. You know when you open a yogurt in the morning and there's that watery layer sitting on top? Sorry, bit of gossip here. Apparently, that's actually good for you. I've always poured it straight down the sink. Do you eat it? It's funny. The things you learn, isn't it? I'm never quite sure myself. And it's a bit like that with what you learn about what not to do, especially when you're dealing with one of the most powerful families in the entertainment business right now. Because, as we all know, Meghan Markle threw a proper hissy fit over those photos that were posted online for Kris Jenner's 70th birthday. Facelift, 007, whatever you want to call it, right? And as I said at the time, I genuinely felt for the team working behind Meghan Markle. Because you'd think you've received the invitation, you've turned up with your bodyguard in a dinner jacket, yet you chose not to wear a poppy of remembrance, even though your husband was wearing one. It never crossed your mind to think, should I maybe get one of those? No, you simply didn't care. You can try to spin that however you like, but the reality is obvious. You didn't care. Even more so when you remember she's a crafter. If she'd really wanted to, she could have made one herself. But she didn't. And that, frankly, was blatant disrespect. And in my view, if you truly wanted to be associated with the Invictus Games, you should have gone out of your way to ensure you were wearing a poppy on that occasion. This wasn't about honoring anyone. It was about Markle being seen at the biggest party in Hollywood. And, unsurprisingly, that's when everything started to fall apart. As I've said before, What followed was, in my opinion, an absolutely textbook slapdown from Kim Kardashian and her sister Khloe on that podcast. Essentially, they were having a laugh about the whole thing, saying she wanted to be addressed as the Duchess of Sussex, that she didn't like the photos, that she was mom's friend, you know, all of that. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting. Because building and maintaining those friendships actually matters. In Hollywood, you try very hard not to fall out with people because, let's face it, you never know when you might need them. Meghan, though, always seems to believe she'll never need anyone again. I'm still surprised whenever she suddenly reappears. Has anyone seen that long-term friend from the bookstore again? No? Didn't think so, right? Makes you wonder where she's disappeared to, doesn't it? You know what I mean. Now, what's also interesting is that Meghan has reportedly been popping up, allegedly, unless she's been cut, in a cameo role in a film that someone may well have bought their way into. Because let's be honest, nobody was exactly crying out to have this particular woman involved. And I wouldn't be shocked if, somewhere along the line, again, allegedly, there was some form of investment involved. According to a source, the original idea was actually for Meghan to appear briefly in Kim Kardashian's next series, which has just been recommissioned by Hulu. I believe it's called All's Fair, and it's essentially a legal drama. People have been taking shots at Kim Kardashian's acting, and I'd agree, she's hardly in the same league as Bette Davis, Barbara Stanwyck, or Meryl Streep. But for what it is, it's perfectly watchable. It's campy, light, throwaway fun. She's not under any illusion that she's about to win a Pulitzer Prize or anything like that. She's enjoying herself. And really, what's wrong with that? Right? What was interesting, though, was the idea that Meghan Markle could have had a cameo in the next series. No joke. And when you really think about it, the truly foolish part is that this could have done her career a world of good, simply because she's easing herself very gently back into that kind of world. Now, don't misunderstand me. This would have worked very nicely for the Kardashians as well. They get some solid publicity. Meghan appears briefly in a TV project, maybe in the background, maybe just for a moment. But either way, it creates attention. According to a very reliable source, the Kardashians haven't completely shut the door on the idea. And that's because, as I've said before, they're smart, business-savvy women. They understand that bringing someone like Meghan into that space would generate a huge amount of publicity. The problem is, nobody has actually reached out to Meghan to see whether this idea is moving forward. And behind the scenes, I'm told she's very eager to pursue it. But as I've said, you don't want to cross powerful people. Because when you start demanding photos be taken down without proper backing, and when there are claims about forms being signed away that don't quite add up, people have long memories. You might land a role. You might even film the scenes. But will it make the final cut? And could that be the ultimate form of revenge? Neil Sean, Kensington, London.